You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome, everybody, to yet another edition of the Afro-Social Workers Forum Germany. It's always a privilege to have these conversations with you, especially on Tuesdays, because I know that many of you are always very eager, ready to also share in the conversation. And by now why we started up the Afro-Social Workers Forum. The main reason for the Afro-Social Workers Forum is to support our community, to create and build trust in the community. Who else can do that if not the social workers who are coaches, mentors, and who are trained to support the community? And like I said last week, we are doing this voluntarily because we want to see that the community grows. And we are encouraging you, ladies and gentlemen, share the link, encourage your brother, your sister, your friend to join the conversation today, because the conversation today is very, very important. We're going to be seeing when cultures clashes, what next? Welcome with me. But today I'm really very, very tired. Welcome with me, my colleague, Abeke. Wata, continue that your name, my dear. You're welcome. Today I'm very tired. I have headache, but you look very beautiful. Tell me, what's your secret today?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to see you. Well, maybe because I'm just seeing my favorite color, orange. Maybe this is why I'm
I
shining.
get it now.
But I just end some holidays and I'm very relaxed actually. Yeah, thank you very much, Vera. My name is Batemona-Abeke.
Thank
And
you very much.
yes, and
You're welcome. You're welcome, ma'am.
thank you. And I'm very happy this evening to be with you here, like always, every Tuesday, to talk about the matters that are affecting our African community. And this time around, I'm very happy the topic that we have chosen. And I really hope that many parents, many aunties, many uncles, fathers, mothers, grandparents are here watching. I am here as a social worker of African descent. And on top of that, I am also working in the trauma field as a trauma consultant and also as a diversity trainer. I am representing our institution, Pamoja Africa, which is based here in Cologne, Germany. And we are working with the youth and the children and working with the government when it comes to offering family support to families that need help. So this is what we are doing, and I'm happy, very happy to be part of the Afro-Social Workers platform.
Oh,
Thank you.
you are not just part. We had to work this together so that we can come out with something like this, and so we can be able to help the community. So you're not just a part of it. So we work this out together. I'm very, very happy that it is coming to a good end. I want to welcome all those who are joining. Batemona-Abeke and myself, you're welcome to this today's conversation. Do us the favor to share the link, invite a friend. Like Helen just said, we are having a very important conversation today. And so we are going to be giving some few minutes so that you all come. We know that you're all eager also. We have invited lots of you, and we know that this conversation today is so very important, and I really want you to do us the favor to share the link. Again, ma'am, tell us, what's the role of the Afro Social Workers Forum? Just give us some little information about this forum so that the people listening to us can understand why we even created it at all.
Yes, thank you very much. Afro-Social Workers Forum is a forum that myself and Vera created about actually started a here and go. And we kept on thinking and exchanging ideas based on the problems and the challenges that are facing our people here in the community and here in Germany. here in the diaspora, and we came up with a program that is going to be talking about upbringing children and empowering parents in supporting them in parenting their children, because we have noticed that there are serious problems that are connected to this. And Afro-Social Workers Forum is we are also holding this program every Tuesday in the evening. And once in a month, the Afro-Social Workers Forum meet together with all African social workers, or with most African social workers based in Germany, so that we can support each other, we can empower, we can mentor each other, because we are all working in different institutions, and our needs are never met actually. And this is why we decided to be supporting ourselves, so that we can be more stable to combat that is facing our people in this society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And today we are going to be diving now straight to the conversation. It's just a privilege, Helen, to have someone who thinks like you and that we can work this out together. So I'm very privileged as well. Usually it's difficult to meet women who work together, but somehow along the line we have found ways to work together. And this is an example to say that if there is the will, there is always the way. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate you, appreciate the effort that you're putting in to see that this work goes on. Today, we are having a very important conversation. When conflict clashes, what next? So today we are going to be talking about cultures clashes in upbringing. And I want to tell you a story. Batemona-Abeke is going to listen to this story like you are listening. Please follow the story, and she is going to give us solutions like a social worker will do, and like how we do it in our diverse offices. So just pay attention, ma'am. Listen to my story. I am the educator, and I am coming to complain to you as a social worker, and so you are going to give me some solutions of my problem. So the storyline: children taken away because parent beats them up. Remember the story? I have changed names and places, so it's not about you, it's about your neighbor, not you. Okay, you is listening, it's not about you, it's about your neighbor, so do not bother. All right. Now, in 2015, John traveled from Nigeria to Germany using the boat. He was fortunate enough to arrive Germany safely, as only a few people really arrived safely in Germany. While in the boat, he met this beautiful woman called Fatimata, originally from Cameroon. John and Fatimata claimed to love each other and decided to create a family. John and Fatimata are living in a small room in Ulm, Germany. Both are without residence permit, still under the asylum law. Fatimata gives birth to three amazing children: Vero, 6, Ifi, 5, and Sandrala, 3 years old. Vero and Ifi visit the kindergarten. On the 30th of March 2020, while Vero and Ifi are in kindergarten, the educators notice a strange behavior. Vero and Effie are usually very happy and active kids, but on this particular day, they are particularly quiet, sad, a little aggressive, fearful, and insecure. The educator, Miss Ashanta, decides to ask the children about their welfare. Vero and Effie tells Miss Ashanta that their parents are always quarreling, fighting, and most often beat each other. As a result of this information, the family is called for interrogations to find out what could be the challenges in the family. The mother and father tries to accuse their children for being disrespectful, lying, and talking too much. The mother, Fatimata, goes further to say her husband and her always play using such words like, I will beat you, but really don't mean it. John says he only gave them a slap as a form of discipline because in their culture and religion, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. Unfortunately for Fatimata and John, the case is considered very destructive for the development of the children, and hence a social worker is sent to take care to take the children from the family so as to preserve them from worse situations. Ma'am, these are the cases and some of the cases we have that comes to us, and we are familiar with these cases. I don't know, are you familiar to such cases?
Yes, we are confronted every day with such cases, and I can say exactly what is happening to this scenario is a case of domestic violence and also psychological violence that is happening to both the parents, I mean, them fighting, and the children. And this is interfering with the children's development. Remember when we started our program, we talked of the children's law, the social law that we said are usually found in our social law book, and we talked of the first paragraph in our social law book, chapter 8, and this is paragraph 1 that talked of every child having a right of the right upbringing from their parents. That means that the parents are the ones that are responsible for the children, and they are supposed to bring up these children to be responsible young men and women in the society. And um, since if this doesn't happen, there is also a caption of the law that is talking of um, now the youth department, the child youth department here in Germany, which we call Jugendamt, taking over and assisting the parents or deciding what help the parents will need. In some cases, they may decide to take the children and give them to the children being brought up in a group or being given to foster parents, depending on the nature of the problem that the children are experiencing in the family. So there are two options. The children take full responsibility and brings up the children the way the law is requiring. And if that is not possible, then government will step in the first place to support the parents. And if this is not possible for one reason or the other, then there are also another provision how the children can be brought up. So you see that in this country we are living in, the children are really very fenced. Things shouldn't go wrong. So if parents cannot, they have a possibility of asking for assistance on their own. And if they don't ask for assistance on their own, then government gets to know through maybe school, kindergarten, neighbors, people on the streets, anyway, they are going to come up and offer the parents the necessary support they need. If they reject, there is also a law that is governing how this can be done. So in this scenario, I see or I hear of violence, children experiencing a lot of distress because the parents are busy with their own issues. I mean, fighting for whatever reason. We don't want to judge them, and because of this, the thing is too much on the children, so they carry it to school, to kindergarten, and during the normal day-to-day learning, they are not able to cope like the other children. And now the educators, what we call in Germany Erzieherinnen, they notice that there is something not going on right with the children and decide to talk to the children, which is a normal practice, and then things start coming out. So this is how I can analyze this situation. That it wasn't that someone came to report, it was just an observation from the educators. And as we know in Germany, the social workers, the educators, the professionals are supposed to take care of the children. And if they notice that there is a danger, right, which we talked about at the beginning of our program, we talked of paragraph 8a. This is that the paragraph that governs what could be a danger. This is when the children are having, you see that their normal day-to-day development and growth and life is in danger. This is when we talk of paragraph 8a. If this is experienced, then the educators or the social workers, the law is requiring them to take immediate action and inform the youth department.
Thank you very
If you do not, let me just hand this. If you do not inform the youth department, you are personally getting into trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. We're going to come back to that again. We will stay on the case of Fatima. Fatimata is the mother. And when she is being asked, this is where I don't get it. When Fatimata, the mother of the Vero and Ifi, is being asked what happens at home, she says that, well, at times the husband says, or they say, I will beat you, but they really do not mean that way. Is there a clutch of conflict, of culture here? How do we handle such information as social worker? These were just words that were said. But how does these words, how do social workers perceive these words?
Okay, so I'm just smiling because as an African, I have learned this slogan, I'll beat you. In French, je vais te taper. In German, ich schlage dich. We have learned it like the way we drink water or we breathe. It doesn't mean most cases that the beating will take place. Or it doesn't even mean the beating could be just a tap or just get out of my sight, just a verbal threat. But to the children, it inflicts fears. Now, this is where we are coming to the psychology aspect. To the handout, when we say, I'll beat you, je vais te taper, or ich schlage dich, you are just threatening a child with the hope that this child is going to hear and be afraid and stop doing what he or she is doing. And then you won't be satisfied as an adult, as a mother. But let's just look at the psychological impact of this saying, I'm going to beat you. It threatens a child, and the child's mind is not so well developed like an adult to think that mommy or daddy are joking. At times the children, they don't take you serious because you say it so often or you beat them so often that it's nothing new. So basically, from my side as a social worker and trauma consultant, I want to say that this threatening, I will beat you, is having a serious psychological impact on your child, causing mental distress, causing anxiety, causing fear, and making this child lose confidence in you as the person who is supposed to fulfill the first paragraph we talked about, to bring up a child in sound mind and to be a responsible person in the society. So we are failing as parents when we use these slogans. In as much as I know what we mean, I really want to say that in the society, we are finding ourselves here in Europe, in Germany, this is being perceived differently. I don't want to say that it works also back in our African continent, but we are resilient, we are used to it. So the children know what this is meant. And let me say that I'm being a few weeks ago, I was there. It is not this kind of saying is also not more there, because of also our parents back home have realized that it is going to inflict fears in children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We're going to come to the conversations, but before we come to the conversations, let's continue. Let's proceed here. Still on the case of Fatimata and John, the father is being interrogated, and the father says this. Well, I just gave a little slap to the child on the jaw as a form of discipline, so that's not beating, because in the culture where I come from and religion, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. How do social workers perceive such statements? And when I talk of social workers, I mean in the big sense of social work, not just the Afro-social workers.
Yes, we are talking of professionals in the pedagogic way. So I think there's a serious cultural problem or difference, and the methods that may work in our continent may not work here in this continent. This is where culture crash is coming in, and then we also have the saying that. If you spare the rod, you spoil the child. This is true. It's even written in the Bible. But the rod must not be really the rod, the cane. You can use the word of the mouth. You can be consequent. For me, if I see or I hear a parent threatening a child, I'll beat you, I know that this person, this mother, does not really necessarily beat this child or does not say this to hurt a child, but it's a way of trying to inflict, to make a child feel the presence of a child. And it means that they are overwhelmed, they need support. So if we withdraw, if we tell the parents, don't beat a child, don't say, I will beat you, you have to substitute it with something else. Otherwise, there's going to be a minus in the upbringing of the children. So, in every family, if somebody comes to me in my counseling center, or if the young adult puts me in a family where I hear there is violence, I try to replace, to show the parents other methods of educating their children, are bringing them properly, but not without beating. So what I want to say is, it's for me and for most professionals is, I beat you, I will understand it to be like a cry from a parent. Please help me. I am not able to manage this child. Show me other methods. What else can I do? What other disciplinary actions can I take to this child so that this child can be back on track? This is what this is how we should be interpreting it and offering it. However, the law says that if a parent or if an educator hits a child, this is against the law. The law of the land we are in is not accepting any beating or any verbal threat, because threatening a child is inflicting fear, and this is going to tamper with the mental development. So we really need to take these sayings, these slogans that come sometimes out of our mouth without us thinking of the consequences or the implication, deeper thinking of the implication. We have to take care of it. Now, Fatimata says that she doesn't really mean to beat, but she means this so that the child can be afraid and stop doing that what this child is doing. And Fatimata feels that if she doesn't threaten or beat her children, they are going to be undisciplined. And she doesn't want to have undisciplined children, from what I've perceived from the story you have given. So Fatimata needs a lot of guidance on how to educate and to bring up a child in this culture we are in. This is where now the youth department comes in and offers service. Remember, if we were to be back at home, we have the saying that says we need a whole village to educate a child. From the story of Fatimata and John, the whole village is missing. So the village, Fatimata should look around who can be the next village so that she can create her own village. And I always say to create our own village without witches, because you have a chance of now choosing who should belong in your village. The youth department could be part of your village mate. You can look at the teachers in kindergarten, the educators. You can look at African social workers. These are the people that should constitute your new village so that they can help you educate your children without sparing the land and without I will beat you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. There's a question that comes up from Wambi Rose. Wambi Rose, thank you very much for your support and thank you for the work you do. Wambi Rose is also an educator, so she has the slogan that we have to re-educate ourselves. And Wambi Rose is asking the question. I can't put the question here because it's extremely long, so it's going to cover all our faces, and that's why I'm reading it from here. Wambi Rose says, but doesn't racism and prejudice also play a role here? I used to work with refugee kids, and my colleagues who were all Germans kept saying such things as the parents needed to learn how to raise kids. This etirische Blicke. I have experienced German parents really screaming at their children and calling them name. And we know verbal abuse is also abuse. Does this have consequences?
Yes. So verbal abuse coming from African parents or German parents have also consequences on the growth, personal growth of and development of a child. So here we are not really saying that it's only African parents who beat or who abuse or insult their children. It's most parents who are overwhelmed with the upbringing of the children. Now, Wamboi Rose says that she thinks that racism and prejudice plays a major role here. Very true. This is not, we don't need to dispute this. Prejudice, racism plays role in also determining what upbringing methods are acceptable here in this society and which are not. So this is no doubt we are together in this, but I would really want us to focus on the on the African parents and the argument, because the argument is they are doing the right thing, and there arises a conflict because the methods that they are using are completely not acceptable here. And if for us, we know even in Africa, these methods are not acceptable. Maybe the society is accepting them back home, but it's not helping our children. It has a permanent damage to our children's growth. Some of us are traumatized from what we went through school, being beaten with a cane every morning, or if you cannot do mathematics, you are told to just stand and your teacher will be just working on you with the cane. Some of us are having lines all over their bodies because of the canes that we got. This is not helping us. Till today, I remember, like myself, because of the caning that I got, I was very poor in mathematics. Actually, I'm blocked. When the mathematics teacher would walk into the class, my mind would just walk out. So I'm just sitting in the class, but I am just thinking of the cane that I may get if he tells me X, Y divided by I don't know what, I don't have an answer. Till today, if I see 1, 2, 3, my mind blocks because I remember the canes that I got. So it doesn't mean that we were beaten and we are the way we are. No, we were brought up with a lot of fears. And today, as an expert, I know these fears were not good because they have a permanent impact in my life. We have done therapy here and there so that we can overcome it, but there are some certain stones that we have to live with that have been thrown in our lives. That's why we are using the expertise that we have gained now as educators to say that please, caning the children, beating the children, verbal abuse, it is not good for the children's mental development. Let's just keep it off. Let's just look for other way. Let's just go and cry for help. Let's get the help that the government is giving if we are not able to support ourselves. This is what I would say.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. When you were talking about beating, I remember my biology teacher who every morning when he came in the class, if he did not cane somebody, he was not happy. And so one day I could no longer bear the canes and I said, I will no longer do biology. So I had to leave the biology class because I really could no longer bear the canes and bear the beatings. And unfortunately, trauma and all these psychological stuff and emotional intelligence is not really seriously taken also in some parts of the countries where we come from. And so people just think, well, if my parents did not beat me, I would surely not have been where I am. And I
Mm.
would say maybe because they got me well beaten, that I really just cared about everything. So we don't want to divert the conversation only on beating. We are
Mm.
staying again on the conversation of Fatimata and John. For those who came late, I gave a narrative about Fatimata and John. They are a couple, they met here, they're still in the asylum camp, and they quarrel and fight all the time, and it affects their children, and their children report that to school. And so, because of that, the environment is toxic, and the social worker comes in and takes the child so that the government can support the children so that they get out of trauma and be able to have a balanced life. So that was a story that we brought for the social worker platform to have an analysis, because we know that it happens a lot in our community. Ma'am, back to the story of Fatimata. Now, in the case of Fatimata and John, um, social workers were sent to them to help, and then at the end, they took the kids from this family. What could be the causes? Why can the youth center take the children from a family? What are the causes, the real causes?
Yes. I think from what you have explained, the children I have narrated to the educators in the school of the experiences they go through at home. Number one, I heard that they are beaten at home. And someone talked of to discipline a child. There's a difference between disciplining a child and beating. So if this discipline is going to cause any pain, either mental or any physical pain, then it is no more discipline, it is violence. So it's not good. So we have to differentiate. So if parents are overwhelmed in the process of disciplining their children, they can lose control. And if they lift something, whatever it is, I have seen children who have been just given a slap on the back. I have seen parents who just raise a toy wagon and just hit a child with it. I have seen parents who have eaten their children with the fufu cooking stick. The stick that we use to make fufu with. So when you are raising this item on a child, because you are already overwhelmed, you are very annoyed, you don't know the impact it will land on the child. So it can be, you may be intending just to scare, but you can destroy. You can really harm a child. And that pain, whether it is physical pain or psychological pain, it is pain. So we that's why we say any kind of using objects or raising your voice on your child, it has more or less the same impact. Sometimes even the physical beating is not painful like the psychological beating. Being insulted, being locked in a room, being denied food overnight, being forced to shower with cold water, being insulted, you are like a goat, you don't think, you are like this and that. All this one is really, really painful. So the social workers in this case study were sent, and in the process, they took the children away. What I may perceive, which has happened also to me several times, if you go to maybe help a family and you find that the situation these children are in it will not be good for you to leave the children in that compound. Then the situation must be so serious that a social worker will say the children are in danger. Then there comes the paragraph we talked about, paragraph 8A of the social law book governing families. Then you have really to take this child to a safer place first. And then you take time now to educate the children, I mean the parents, or to find out what was happening. It's just like an accident scene. You can't just leave someone there because you are not sure whether the person has broken a leg or not. If the person is in pain and crying, you must take this person to an emergency section for the person to be treated. In the meantime, you will sort out how the accident happened or what caused the accident. You won't keep a person there for you to find out who was right and who was wrong. So this must be probably what has happened in the case of Fatimata and John and their children. So the first of all, the children have to be put in security, in a safe place, and thereafter you determine now what will be the next step. Now, two things usually happen. Sometimes misunderstandings can make also children be taken away. Yeah, this is now a different case. We can check into this, and sometimes it won't be good for these children to be put in another atmosphere, and then the parents will be talked to. If there is something amiss in their bringing their children, it's going to be offered to them, which is again a process. And in the meantime, the children will be in security. So thereafter, there can be a reunion. But let me tell you, if the children are taken away from the parents, it is a process for them to be given back. And before the children are given back, and this should be taken and treated very serious, what I'm saying now. If the children are taken for one reason, they will have to counter-check that so many things will be put into consideration before those children are given back to their parents. That is why we always say, try to do everything possible that something that like this doesn't happen. There is also another way that children are taken. Let's say, example, it's a single mother, she's pregnant, she has to go to maternity to get a child, and she doesn't have a family to take care of the children. In this case, also, the children can be taken by the youth department. They're going to be put in a welfare care. And when the mother has given birth and she's back home, the children will be brought back to the mother because there was no problem. So there are different reasons that make children be taken away. In the case of Fatimata, it's because of the law, the paragraph that I talked of, paragraph 8A, that is talking of children being endangered. In German, it's called Kindeswohlgefährdung. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, ma'am. We have also another question or suggestion. What would you suggest to parents as alternatives to correcting bad behavior in children instead of beating or screaming at them?
Okay, so the first answer that I can give is talking. We have to develop a culture of talking to our children. We have not learned to talk to our children. By we, I mean some of us who have been raised up in a back home. We came here as adults. Our parents used just to look at us. Just a throw of an eye, you know what it means. I've tried this with my children. It doesn't work because I didn't train them when they were young. So our parents never used to talk a lot. They just used to look at us like this. My mother used to tell me good morning, even if it is evening. If she tells me, Ellen, good morning, I know what this good morning means. So I'll start arranging myself and correcting myself. If I try to tell my children good morning, they're going to tell me, if it is morning, they're going to tell me good morning, ma'am. If it is evening, they will tell me, ma'am, why are you telling me good morning and it's evening? My son has even told me once, why are you looking at me like this? What is the problem? Something that I would never dare do to my mother when I was a child. So because this language is not known to them, so they cannot respond to it. So to you, two non-Ghanaian girl, I suggest you practice talking to the children first. We have to be robots in this country to talk parrots. I mean, talk to your children. When you talk to your children, explain to the children, make prepare a good atmosphere, sit down, let the child know where he or she has gone wrong. This is very important. And explain to the child what this behavior means to if the child continues doing it. And please explain to it in a child's language, in a language that this child is going to understand based on the age. So if you are using an adult language to a child, the child will not understand. So those are some of
Okay, ma'am, we have to still stay on this language stop now. You're talking dialogue, and someone is sending me a message. This dialogue doesn't usually work. When it doesn't work, what else do we do? And now you're adding to it, talk the language of a child. How do adults begin to speak the language of children? You have to help. How do we speak the language of children? What do you mean by that?
Okay. So I'm talking of a language that a child will understand. Come down to the child's level. So first of all, when you're talking to children and they are small, you have to be on the same level with them, not to stand up and already this is already dictating. Because you are tall, the children will be looking up on you. It doesn't enter. Yeah. So you have to come down to the child's level. Sometimes you kneel down so that you can be the same, on the same level with the child. Make sure the child is looking at you. Make sure the child is not distracted so that he or she can catch your attention. So this is first of all. And then the second thing is simplify your language. Like my Rose, I told you not to play with the heater, I mean with the cooker, because it's going to burn you. If you place your finger here on top, you see this red color. It means the surface is hot. It's going to burn you.
Thank
If you
you.
touch it, you are going to feel pain. Don't
Thank you.
like, that's the kind of language I'm talking about. And you keep on saying this every now and then. But if you notice that the child is going to burn or the child is just about to touch fire, you can scream. But if you scream every day, the screaming loses meaning. But if a child is running onto the stop and on the street and you say stop, you say Rose, stop. This is with a command and the child is going to see the difference. But if every day is screaming, 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 even when you are supposed to bring in, when there is emergency and the child needs to really hear and stop right away, the child will not hear because mommy is always screaming, mommy. So those are the examples that I can share with you this evening.
Not only mommy scream, even papis also scream. So
Very
not only
true.
mommy. I wanted to add to your dialogue because you mentioned dialogue, and someone was really asking the question. Thank you to our brother or sister, too known. I think another way will be to have a weekly conversation. Maybe this is a way we can start up these dialogues. Have a weekly conversation, and during your weekly conversation you can really put rules and how that conversation should be structured. You can really put topics where you want to just discuss about it. Let it not be conversation that you only have to always criticize or discipline a child. That's why maybe the weekly conversation could really be a good way to start up the process of dialoguing in families. For some people, it can be during the table while they're eating, but I really recommend that you have a 1 week conversation, once a week round table conversation where it's not because a child did something, where you all have to ask questions and come up with, let your child be able to criticize you. Give the child the privilege to be able to say what they really do not see correct in you, because a challenge we have is the fact that we believe that as parents we are never wrong. And it takes me to what Maury says, Back home, the children are to be seen and not to be heard. And that's where the challenge is. So I remember I told my dad, I was still 14, hey, children are not only to be seen, they are also to be heard. And so it's for us now, we are in this culture that we should just learn. For those who really do not understand how to have communication dialogues, don't always want to be the right person. Let it be. You don't have to be correct all the time. And let the children also be correct. And then you also take the information they have given to you and process it in your mind. Because they are children doesn't mean that they don't have emotions, doesn't mean that they don't understand, doesn't mean that they don't see. In fact, if you really want to know who you are, let your child tell you who you are. If you are honest, you will be surprised at the things that our children can tell us. So, Mom, I take you to the next question. We have Liz, who is saying, yes, we can see, get this. I think overwhelmed parents have little means to lovingly raise children. I just think part of the solution is for parents to disentangle themselves and try to lead fine lives themselves that would genuinely spill over to healthy children. It's difficult in a new society, but can be done though. What do you think, ma'am?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Liz, for this wonderful contribution. I think I have a few points to say pertaining this. She's very right that overwhelmed parents are just too busy with their problems to lovingly raise their children. This is true. I just want to add that the problems, when the parents are overwhelmed with their own problems, then it means that their problems supersedes their children's comfort. So they are too busy, which was the case with Fatimata and John, too busy with their fights, with their struggles. And remember that they have come with them both to Europe. So this says also a lot. It means that Fatimata and John have gone through a lot of things. They started their journey, many, and only a few arrived. So it says also a lot about them. So the children are actually secondary. They are just existing, more or less. So now for children, if children see parents fighting or always in different problems, uh, they, 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 they feel that they need to come over and assist, but they are too tiny to solve the problems of their parents. So they are not able to classify the nature of these problems. Maybe for adults, they know it's a moment, it's a problem that is temporary, but for the children, it's just too much. It chokes them. They don't know what to do. So it causes fear, it causes anxiety, it makes them lose trust with their parents, it makes them disrespect their parents, because the parents are supposed to step in and assist children. And if they don't do this, the children lose respect for their parents. Children are split when they see parents fighting. Children get very much affected when they see mom and dad always fighting. Children get lose trust in the parents when they see parents talking bad about the other parents. So if this is happening as a parent, if it's happening to you, it means you've lost total control of your parentship to your child. So now the children, what happens? This is really serious now. Some children will step up and take the responsibility. Whether the father is not active, or if the father is the aggressor or the mother is the aggressor, one child is, or the children are going to step up and take this responsibility. And when this happens, then when the parents lose control of their responsibility, the children lose respect for them and become terrorists in the family, because they are now in charge. If children take the role of parents, it means that the parents have failed. Some of our parents think that my son, my daughter, they are so responsible. They do that and that. You would think they are the men in the family. You feel that the daughter is the mommy in the family. Don't be happy about it. If your daughter takes the responsibility of a mother, it means you as a mother, you as a father, you have failed. That is why they have taken over this responsibility at their tiny age. Every child needs needs to be directed. Every child needs a directive from parents, and reassurance that you're on the right track, like what you are doing is correct. But if it is the children that are going to teach you this, then something is going wrong. So we really know that we didn't need to know that we as parents, we are the ones to give the children the orientation and giving them that loving, accompanying them in their life so that they can develop the way they are supposed to develop. Now, what is this that is overwhelming the parents that we are talking about, as this has asked? The pressure from families back home in Africa is really making most of the families here struggle. Pressure to send money, pressure to support the people that we left back home, pressure to build a house back home, in-laws that are more demanding than the others. You have to be split. The woman has to help the family. The man needs to secretly help and support their own family. The whole village demanding something from you back home, it overwhelms, and it's really abandoned for most of the parents here, and they tend to pour this annoyance to their children here. Sometimes a phone call comes, and what happens if a child asks a question thereafter, you'll get a slap. So we really need to step up. We need to come and rescue our children. It is not their responsibility. And if this continues, this is now where the German government, the Jugendamt, the schools are reporting that things are not going on right. The neighbors are saying that there is a lot of noise, there is a lot of fighting in that home. And we are going to say, oh, they don't like us, we are Africans. No, no, no. Let's really separate things. Let's do things the way we are supposed to, and no one is going to intervene. I've even had some parents that even say that they need to go to native doctors because there's someone who has bewitched their children. This is why they are behaving like this. We have had a lot of stories, but it all boils to the same thing. Please, let's concentrate on our children. Let's be supportive. When we need help, let's ask for help, and the help will be given to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to read some of the comments here, but we are not going to go into details because the time is almost fast spent, and I want you to take some time to explain the role of the Afro-Social Workers Forum in community building and in supporting the community. Teresa says that this is a topic that requires more intervention mentally, emotionally, and even on spiritual aspect, because truth be told, it's sometimes so pushing and tempting to hit. So we are going to have this conversation, Teresa, on a regular basis. That's why the Afro social workers are gathering every Tuesday like this, because we know that truth be told, it is so much challenging to build and to upbring children in a foreign country. And we want to be the extended family, the village that our people do not have. So we are going to get back to that. And thank you very much, Mori, who says pressure is a burden indeed. And we have Wambi Rose, who says, oh yeah, pressure from home is a real deal. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you very much, men, who are all here. Ma'am, we have just a few minutes more left. I would like you to take time now to explain to us, to help the community. Remember, we started this program because our intention was to build trust in the community and be able to help the community. And now my question is, how can Afro-social workers help the community understand their newfound country function, the roles of social work here? How can we help these people so they understand the system and not fall into these petty things and the traps that are around?
Yes, that is why we started this program, because we said our people, our problems, our solutions. And now we are offering practical ways, because we understand our people. We understand where they are coming from. We understand what is triggering them to behave and to react the way they are reacting. Because our German colleagues, may not have this insight on our culture, on our background. They may not be able to react the way we are reacting. We are pleading with you to take us serious, to get our help, to get coached by us, to get mentored by us, to treat us serious, because we can, if a case comes to me, I approximately can tell where we are and where it will be in a month or two. And those that have ears and they listen, they don't fall into these pitfalls. But those that just ignore and they know it all, it's usually a question of time. They always come back, or I get phone call, or the children are gone, or this is what is happening. So we don't want you to have these bad experiences. Come to us as social workers. We have practical ways of helping you not go into this pit. We may come to your home, we may call you to our office, we may sit down and make a plan. We may recommend what you need to do to your children. We may recommend what you need to do to your relationship, you and your partner. We may recommend what your partner, your husband needs to do alone, and what you as a woman needs to do alone, and maybe what services you need to enroll your children into, maybe sports, or we can tailor make and a program for each and every family. We can't say generally this is what you need to do, like a recipe. There is no recipe. You just check as the case as it comes, based on the situation this family is finding themselves in. So this is why we came up actually with this program, so that we can be educating, we can be sharing, we can be empowering you, to tell you that we know what you are going through and we may have some solutions. You don't need to really fall into trouble for you to come running to us. Come when the problem is not hot, and we will support you come out of it. Thank you.
Ma'am, I want you to talk briefly because we are soon closing, but tell us briefly why it's important for our people to understand the services that we offer, because usually they really do not understand that the services that our German colleagues offer are the similar services, and so they wait until the German service comes in, and then it's almost too late. How can they get our own support by our institutions, from our institutions? What does it take?
Okay, if there is a problem, or even without a problem, you can come to us and we are going to give you a counseling free of charge. We don't ask for any money from any family. If we have to be paid, we are paid by the government. So you don't need to pay us. You don't, and if there's any social worker asking you for money to do something, then you have to check twice, because I have never gotten a cent from a client. I'm paid by an institution or by the government. So come to the office, get cancelled, grab our telephone number, either on Facebook or we are on social media. You just type Afro-Social Workers, type my name, Batemona-Abeke, type Vera, and we are able to connect you to the social workers in different towns, the towns you are living in. And basically, when you come, we hear your problems, we advise you. We can tell you go to Jugendamt, ask for this and this. We can tell you go to a counseling center and get this and this help. We are not marketing ourselves here, because we have enough to do. There are so many people that are on the waiting list to get our services. So this program is not to market us. This program is to empower you and you, so that we can have healthy families in this country, so that our children can come to another level. This is why we are bringing in this topic free of charge to you out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for always being here. We have come, of course, to the end of our conversation today, and we're going to definitely continue this talk again next week, same time, with the Afro Social Workers. And with me on studio was, okay, ma'am, you want to say something?
We can say we want everyone who is here, because next week we are going to talk about alcoholism and depression, which is really taking over our society here in Europe. So we welcome you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. So next week, stay tuned. Be there next week on the conversation, alcoholism and depression. Hey, you don't want to miss the conversation next week. So remember to share the links with friends and families. Ma'am, thank you very much. It's always a privilege to have you. God bless you all and bye-bye till next day.